Apple Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Brewery Podcast. This is your main solo speaker, Alex. You can call me Brewery. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing good today. If you're not, I hope that this episode makes you feel better when you listen to me. I just want to make sure the listeners are in a good mood while listening to me. Whether I'm in a good mood or not, I have to record for you guys. I can't miss recording this episode anymore. If you are a new listener, you can follow this podcast on Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. 3, 2, 1. I will laugh when the time is right in this episode. This podcast is available on Instagram and YouTube. You can listen to the full episode of the Brewery Word Podcast on YouTube. It is free. There's full access to it. For today's episode, I will be talking about long distance relationships. This podcast is available on other listening platforms. It is listed for this podcast. If you have an app downloaded, which is one of the listening platforms the podcast is available on, then you can check it out. I know you have the app on your phone. It's best to check this podcast out now. If you are a new listener, this podcast is about real life situations, pop culture, social media trends, and internet trends. I also talk about other relatable things. I like to make jokes. This podcast is for making people laugh. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. This is completely real life. This is something that I have been waiting for, the idea of long distance relationships. How long can you be in a long distance relationship? I actually want to talk about this now. Now the time has come for this episode. This sounds very debatable. This is very common in today's society and in young relationships. Unmarried couples are not the only people going through it. Many people have so much growing to do when it comes to long distance relationships. There's nothing wrong with growing as a person and growing in a relationship. I know several people who have been through this before, especially when they were in previous relationships. There are people who experience this very differently. There are other people who experience this. I want to add a disclaimer. This episode is no means to give people professional advice. I don't have all of the answers, so I'm not Wikipedia. I'm not Wikipedia and Google. I am my own person. I'm not a relationship counselor. I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not a family and relationship counselor. I'm not licensed when it comes to these types of professional help. This is all I have for this disclaimer. I am forming my opinion. This is all you need to hear. This is not marriage boot camp. This is not couples therapy. I'm not on a TV show, let alone reality TV. No one is watching me, so this podcast will never be a reality TV show. I'm not the one with the relationship problems because I'm single, alright? At least I'm not worried about arguments and being heartbroken because I went through a breakup. Yes, some people have. I want to go over the advantages of long distance relationships and disadvantages of long distance relationships. In addition, I want to emphasize the details with the advantages and disadvantages of long distance relationships. Couples, married or not, might live apart for several reasons. One is that they attend different colleges. Right now, I want to go over this question. Do I think people can be in long distance relationships? I will definitely say that it depends on the person that is in a long distance relationship. I think that it depends on how long you've known that person. If you've known that person for a very short amount of time, I believe that it's hard. I believe that long distance relationships works for a number of people. Let's say a lot of people. I'm not saying that long distance relationships can never work for anyone. If your relationship is stable, then it shouldn't be an issue. It should not be an issue when both people are doing well, both people are getting along and being transparent and honest with each other. Both people are able to trust each other while they are away from each other. I find it very common when people go through ups and downs. However, things should never be granted when someone actually loves you. Some people can't handle it. Two people have to make it work when it comes to long distance relationships. There needs to be some type of respect when it comes to long distances. I'm a huge believer in trust and boundaries. I am a huge believer in working things out. People have to be on the same page. Two people have to be on one accord. There are some people who are used to long distance relationships. Some relationships require long distance for a reason. When people take the relationship seriously, they have to take it seriously while they are in a long distance, with and without long distance. But I am for breaks when it comes to relationships. I am for space. There's nothing wrong with having your own space. Speaking of college, education must be important depending on your studies. Someone could be a doctor or a lawyer, someone could be a dentist, someone could be an engineer, it could be any career. Another one is that they have jobs in different cities or countries. In other words, some people might not find a job that is near their home. One or both of them are in the military, one or both of them are in prison. I wish that I did not bring this up because that is, sad, the prison part. I know that it could be hard for some people, it's challenging. One or both of them have moved to take care of an aging parent. You never know how complicated their family situation is. Those situations are very complex and challenging. I get that they have to complete something. They are new to this. In a relationship, if you love someone and you want to be with the person while they are in a long distance relationship, they are solid when it comes to their priorities. If the couples were parents, I have to acknowledge that they have kids to take care of. I don't think that's uncommon when someone feels homesick because their partner is away. I'm not saying that people can't be in a long distance relationship because they are going through ups and downs for the rest of your life. Then you have to respect that they are far away from you. you know, Long distance relationships would not be an issue with me. At the same time, I'm a huge believer in balance. I think that it's tempting because you want to actually be on their side very badly. You wish that they are home with you. That's the type of feeling I would have if someone I know primarily lives with me. It's nice when you miss someone while they are away. It's more nice when people are genuine and real about missing that person. Let's go over if I would want to be in a long distance relationship. I will say that it depends on who I'm with. It has to depend on what their career is. I think that it depends on how long the long distance is. It depends on their demeanor. I'm not going to be with someone who doesn't respect my career and what I do for a living. At the end of the day, I have to respect what someone has. If I love someone and that person loves me, I have to respect why the partner has to be at a far distance. As long as the person is able to communicate with me, then it should not be an issue. It has to be on a regular basis. If I was in a far distance, then I expect my partner to respect me as well. I expect my partner to communicate with me at the right time. I don't care if you are in Bali or not. My thing is that if I'm going through problems, then we need to talk. I don't want to disrespect your space. There needs to be a way to find a resolution. I would like to resolve some issues that both and my partner are having. That partner has to understand the position that I have to be away. I'm not in the same home right now. It could be career related. Someone could be doing philanthropy work. It could be visiting relatives in another country. Someone could hang out with their friends in another country. They are on vacation. If I feel that the long distance relationship is not going to work, then it would be best to go our separate ways. I am for having independence. We need our own space. It makes our life healthy when we respect each other's independence and space. Space can make relationships stable and strong. I would wish if that was the case. I can tell that's real. I would feel the same way. I can't imagine missing someone so much when I'm in a long distance relationship. If someone loves me, then I'm going to keep fighting to make the relationship work, and the partner has to make it work as well. I would not feel good if me and my partner are not on the same page. If there was some type of misunderstanding, I realize that I feel some anxiety when I'm not on the same page with someone. That doesn't end well at all. I feel that I can endure the distance and someone not being on my side for days, weeks, and months. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with long distance relationships. I feel that I can be lonely sometimes. I'm not saying that I would cry about it. Sometimes I feel that it can be hard if your partner is busy because you can't find time to communicate with them. If my partner was busy, I'm not going to nag them. I'm not going to interfere with their busy lives. Granted, my partner would be mad at me for attempting to speak to them at the wrong time during a long distance relationship. while that person is busy. I want to jump right into the advantages of long distance relationships. I feel that this is something that maybe a lot of people are familiar with. I feel that it's important to discuss the advantages. I'm discussing the first advantage right now. One of the first advantages that I'm very familiar with is the sense of having your own space. What is considered more good is that you have a partner who respects your space. In addition, you respect your partner's space when they are in a completely different space. That is what I like to hear. I will say that this is obvious. I think that I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. There's nothing wrong with having time for yourself. Your partner is allowed to have time for themselves. We are going to make independent adult decisions in our life. We have our own independent lives. That is what grown people do. I have something that I have to pay for. I feel that the relationship would be healthy if there's respect, for having time away from each other from both ends. I like having time for myself. You get to have time for yourself. There's so many things you can do to be independent. You have to allow your partner to have time for themselves. Just let them experience things on their own. I find it healthy when you have space and your partner has space. When it comes to communication, you would feel connected when you speak to them at the right time. The right time depends on people's relationships. Not everyone's relationship is the same. What time do you want to speak or video chat? You spend time to reflect on yourself. I would not have a problem with it if my partner wants to spend time alone. I have to having time away from each other does not mean that you should not spend time with your partner and not be with your partner. That's not what I'm saying. Having alone time should never change the relationship status. That's what I believe. I believe that having your own space does not have to be a bad. I have not been in a long distance relationship at all. People can survive a lot of things, including having time for themselves. I think that we get to learn more about ourselves when we have our own space. You get to do things. I believe that people can't always depend on each other when they are in a different place in their presence. It's impressive to hear that there are people who can survive long distance relationships. However, there's nothing wrong with helping each other out. I always believe that people would not be sad if they are used to their partner being absent at your own time while your partner is away. I will say that you have to let your partner explore things, explore new things, meet new people. I feel that your partner will not be able to have time for themselves if you don't allow them to. You learn how to deal with the distance while they are away. They have to know how they can survive being in a long distance relationship. You may acknowledge how much impact it has on your own relationship and text you. They know that it crosses boundaries. Having space makes their long distance relationship stable because you respect that their lives may be busy. I always find video chatting one of the most effective ways of communication. No one should tell you that you are not entitled to your space because everyone is. Having your own space teaches us a lot of things, how to be an individual, get in touch with who we are as a person, how to appreciate the bonds we have. It's good to have space because we grow on our own as an individual. You have to respect that your partner can be safe on their own. I expect the same respect when it comes to being safe on my own. I consider it to be an advantage if your partner does not constantly blow up your phone, focus on ourselves. I also find it healthy and crucial to have our own space because we figure out what we want and what we need, not just in relationships, also in general. Therefore, it makes the relationship functional. I also want to make it clear that just because we need space, it does not mean that we should only. Another advantage I am very familiar with is that it can build a strong bond. I mentioned earlier that you are able to communicate with people in long distance relationships. It doesn't require seeing your partner face to face. Let's say video chat, social media, go FaceTime someone. You have it on your app, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. I feel that's best to video chat with your partner. It's better when you see their face. I would feel good when it comes to seeing their face and we are in a different place. I would feel weird if I was texting someone or calling someone. It doesn't make the communication feel right. People barely write letters now. I mean, it costs a lot to write letters because we are paying for stamps. Since we have the technology, it makes our life so much easier. I wonder how many people send emails to their partners from a far distance. It makes our life stable if we are able to make some connections, if we are able to communicate well. There's no reason to feel disconnected when we have modern technology. People can do so many things. For example, people can be on a virtual date, watch a movie, play a game online, let alone play video games. If you have Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam, you can call them during the game for sure. I feel that you are basically spending time with your partner even when you are not in the same space as them. It's a lot easier when we have modern technology. In the old days, we wrote letters. That's how I feel when it comes to continuing with the bond. I want to connect with someone while they are away. Why can't you do that? I find it very convenient thanks to Skype. You're not required to pay for restaurant meals. I'm not going to order food from Olive Garden or Red Lobster. Let's include that I will not go to the Cheesecake Factory to be on a virtual date with my partner. At least you don't have to walk into the restaurant and eat some fancy dinner meals. I mean, I don't find cooking hard in general. If people want to do something extra, then that's on them. You do what you want. It's really not my thing to do something extra. However, I will not be extra with the fancy background. The background has decorations. I guess that there are no rules when it comes to virtual dating. What do you want to do with it? Thank you for making our lives a lot easier, Skype. I use Skype. It would not be possible to video chat if Skype did not exist. I can cook something. I'm not going to cook something that requires 6 or more hours for the food to be done. I will not expect someone to be on a virtual date while I see the scenery on their background. I will talk about the third advantage right now. I never thought of this advantage because I hear about this when it comes to long distance relationships. I learned that it is possible. I hear that some people visit their partner in a long distance relationship. I mean, physically, I feel that when people visit their partner, they get more of a connection to be with them and spend time with them. You can feel physically close to your partner. You can travel to your partner. If I was in a long distance relationship and I'm somewhere abroad, I would not like it when my partner showed up at a random time. I would not feel happy with it. I don't care where your partner is at. It's best to see them soon, let's say soon, before they come back home to you. Just because your partner is in a different place, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't see them in real life. Go on rides together. It's nice because you don't have to keep chatting with them via modern technology and Skype. You have the perfect opportunity to go on dates, watch some Netflix, have some dinner dates, order some food through Uber Eats, and do other things together. I find it completely beneficial in a long distance relationship. You just can't show up to people's temporary residence at a random time, especially when there was no communication about it. You can't do that. People have to respect. You don't want to violate your own visa when your partner is in a go ride on a boat or something, do a little activity in the home abroad once you visit your partner. That sounds physically fun. You can shop together, you can ride on a boat together. If people plan on seeing their partners abroad, then they have to be considerate of their schedule. Their schedule is something that different country, you don't want to get banned if you are not proving to the immigration officials that you flew to see them. It's like, did I say you can show up anytime? And maybe tempting to do so. Just be patient. It's fine to be excited if you plan on seeing your partner. Save the fun when you see them. My thing is that it can be worth it if you are still in a good relationship. It would be impressive if you flew to see your partner a lot more often. Just do it when it's right. I mean, the both of you have to agree when it's the right time to actually see each other. I get the feeling that you would miss someone. I feel that some couples don't do it because they don't have the luxury to see one another. I learned that not being able to have the luxury by visiting your partner causes red flags if it can make an impact in your long distance relationship. I don't know if long distance requires physical intimacy often. I feel that depends on people's relationship. When it's a long distance relationship, traveling is a good opportunity because you can discuss things that you're not able to discuss during virtual communication. I assume that you can't discuss a lot of things during virtual communication. When it comes to virtual communication, it seems that it's hard to discuss every little thing. I'm done with the advantages. I want to discuss the mistakes of being in a long distance relationship. The more I discuss it, the more prepared people are with this discussion. There can be flaws when it comes to long distance relationships. Some people can handle it, other people can't tolerate it. I hope that people can learn from this. One mistake that I have is that you're not giving your partner space. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I'm going to discuss this a little more. It can rub your partner the wrong way. Not giving your partner space can hurt a long distance relationship. It also hurts your long distance relationship when you spend too much time in your own space and you don't find time to virtually connect with your partner. I always believe that it can hurt what you and your partner currently have. People have busy lives, and if you keep calling them and over analyzing every activity of your partner, you need to have a solid schedule, a schedule that works well for the both of you. You can't have a schedule where one day works for you and it doesn't work for your partner during a long distance relationship. This can cause some form of miscommunication. I feel that it can lead to some type of guilt. If you try to speak to them at a random time, chances are you are going to feel neglected. I don't think that it would be their fault that they are neglecting you. You can't blame them for not talking to you. It's a problem that you're not respecting. I can understand that. I can acknowledge that it's tempting to talk to someone because you can't go days without communicating with them. I wonder if people have the patience to know they can't talk every day via modern technology. There might be signs that someone does not respect you while you are away. This is another boundary that you don't want to cross and violate. People should not call someone's phone too often when they are busy and not available to speak via modern technology. They can begin to lose their patience no matter how much they're in love with you. It seems that you are stressing them out, that they have busy lives. They want to be suspicious about something. It can cause someone to have anxiety in a long distance relationship. That's the way I look at it. I also feel that people can suffer from sort of sadness. I would be suffering from anxiety if someone was trying to call me at the wrong time and the same partner was mad at me for not responding. I mean, I would be stressed out. If you love me, please don't stress me out. It's not worth it. I would not be in the mood to speak to you. I don't want you to take it personally and have hard feelings. People are going to be annoyed. I feel that people do this because they question too quickly. If my partner was trying to chat with me during a busy time, I would be annoyed. All I can say is that I would not pick up the phone and they will understand you. If you have a reason to not be able to speak to them, just tell them. It's best to be your natural self when you explain to them. If you overly try to talk to me while I'm not available, if we're going to have rules, if we're gonna have boundaries, you have to respect it. If I'm not available to speak to you, then I have to let you know. Another disadvantage would be that your partner is not being honest with you or you're not being honest with your partner. Honesty is the best policy. If you show that you did something questionable, then it's a real issue. If you love me while I find out that you did something questionable, then you have to fix it. I find it worse because your partner may not have been transparent with you before you left. That's a red flag when people are not transparent with you. That can interfere with your long distance relationship. When you have nothing to hide, then there would be no resentment. Both of you are on the same page, so it's worse when you're not taking personal responsibility. That includes deflecting what your partner did that was questionable. I also find it very frustrating when people deny the things that they did. That makes things complicated to get over things when you love someone. I also find it sad and I also find it said and done when people are willing to admit that they did something wrong when they stepped out of the relationship before their partner leaves, depending on whose home it is. If your partner is having their own space and not responding to you, then it's a red flag. It's also worse when your own partner is not on the same page when it comes to communication that leads to arguments and disagreements. The last thing that you want to deal with is someone being very deceitful towards you that leads to more questions. Imagine you found someone commenting on random people's social media accounts in such an intimate way. That's a sign of disrespect. I would worry about it, but I would not overthink it too much. That's not how you love someone. That's not how you should spend time on your own space while your partner is away. You don't want to be with somebody who continues to have fidelity issues. In other words, it's hard for them to be faithful, and this can also happen when your partner is away and doing something questionable. It could be an issue if people do not fix it, what they did that was wrong. At the end of the day, you should not be responsible for their actions, and what they did that was wrong, that's not fair to you. It's fair that they have to do the work to fix it for themselves. It'll take a big step if that person is working on being loyal. That's a big deal. The more infidelity your partner has, the more you feel very disconnected. It's bad enough to be with someone who lies to you and is committed to do intimate things to other people behind your back. It's another thing if you found out your partner was being intimate with another person. I don't care who it is. If you miss your partner when she is away, do not do it because you feel good about it. Don't do it because you miss your partner who's away from you. You may miss out on someone who's a good person. Trust me, I feel that once people do it, it'll be hard for them to have a virtual time with their own partner when they are far away from them. In other words, it may be hard to effectively communicate with them. Every time an unfaithful person cheats on their long distance partner, their partner is not going to answer. I don't care what the excuses are when you are intimate with another person. Being bored has been a common reason why people do this while they are in a long distance relationship. I hear stories like this a lot. However, this shouldn't be an excuse, and I don't care how you are feeling. That's very disrespectful to your own partner when they are far away from you. If you were living in your partner's home and you were in the wrong, you need to work on doing what is right while you're away. Eventually, it'll get back to your partner, and your partner will eventually know what you're doing that is considered betrayal. It would be worse if you lied about it. I honestly would feel stressed out if someone was cheating on me and that person was living in my home while I was away. At the end of the day, there's no right way or a wrong way of cheating on people. If you're someone who disagrees with it, then I don't know what to tell you. There's no way that you can argue against it. There's no respectful way of cheating. Cheating is disrespectful. That's final. If people do not bring around, for example, their exes in the same home you live in, then that's something that you have to keep in mind of. That would be disrespectful if you would bring your exes in your own home and your exes should be in the past. There's nothing funny about it. When you are far away and your partner is in your own home, I find it challenging to be with a person who's had fidelity issues in the past. I'd be uneasy if someone is in my home. People need to leave their exes in the past. There should not be any reason why your exes are back in your life while your partner is in a far distance. Don't expect your partner not to know about it. That kind of stuff will get back to your partner. Eventually, it is worse if someone posted it on social media and their partner is going to know about it. So there's no respectful way to bring your exes back in your life, be in their presence and hang out with them. These screenshots can get back to them. I don't care what you guys are doing, just stay away from your exes. If you're worrying about your space while making sure you are committed to a long distance, if you are worried about your space while making sure you are committed to your long distance partner, just stay away from the club, whether it's a strip club or not. That stuff can get in the way of your current relationship. If you feel that your partner is going to do questionable things, whether you or your partner is away, then it's never a good idea to hack into someone's devices because that can lead to a security problem. That's an invasion of someone's privacy. If your partner is in your home while you are away, then they are obligated to make sure that any type of bill is paid on time. If you're someone that is away and you're able to pay some bills, this disadvantage stands out to me. Also, take care of their priorities. If you live in the same household, you have to know what you're taking care of. Let's say electronically, there shouldn't be any penalties. The gas bill has to be paid. Federal, state, and local taxes have to be paid. Water bill, electricity bill. If you're married to someone, then it would be a different story. You have more priorities when you are a parent. If you're a parent and you're with someone in a long distance relationship, you would make sure that you speak to your family on a regular basis. You make sure that you are taking care of your kids. I feel that this can cause some financial problems. It can be a problem if you don't pay the bills on time. Then it's best to take care of it. Property taxes are inevitable. If you live in an apartment, you have to pay rent every month. You don't want to be evicted if the rent was not paid on time. You don't want to be penalized for sure. If you're someone that lives in an apartment, then you have to pay rent every month. If it was in a home, such as a house, then the mortgage has to be paid off. This disadvantage stands out to me. People are not properly prioritizing when two people live in the same household. You have to be very considerate of your partner when they are away. Not only you have to take care of your own priorities, the thing is that your partner should not be the one to worry about it when they are away. Before I wrap this episode up, I have more thoughts. At the end of the day, people's relationships are different. People experience things differently. People may have similar experiences when they have been through long distance relationships or they are in a long distance relationship. I learned that long distance relationships do not have to end badly. People in relationships don't break up for distance relationship. That's how I look at it. There are a number of people who can endure long distance relationships. If you don't find virtual communication enough to connect with your partner who is miles away from you, then I don't know what is considered enough for you. That's the way I look at it. Now I learned that there's certain things that can get in the way of your relationship during the long distance. If you want to make it work with your partner, then you have to find a way to overcome these types of barriers. If you love someone and there are a lot of things to work on, then it's something that you have to work. Not all long distance relationships last more than a year. To pass it, I find it best. It depends on your long distance relationship. That is why people's relationships are different when it's long distance. If people want to be in a healthy relationship on the long haul, people need to do the right thing. Just consider that we have a right to have our own space in a long distance relationship. Being in a long distance relationship, you expect that the both of you communicate regularly. Stop being disrespectful behind your partner's back when they are far away from you. There's no way that people can't be sneaky about doing things behind their partner's back in a long distance relationship. To know what types of barriers are in the way of your relationship during the long distance, I can tell that long distance is hard. I will never find it easy. I doubt that it's easy. Just because there's a way to make things work, it doesn't make it easier for everyone else that is in a long distance relationship. It's very clear that it stresses people out when people are going through problems during a long distance relationship. You can't expect people to be perfect. Not all, you will not like it if your partner did the same thing to you. I just want to know your experience. By the way, this episode will be uploaded to YouTube. I just want to know your thoughts about long distance relationships. This is all I have for this episode about long distance relationships. I feel that I learned something new. I wish that I had a lot to say, so the episode is long. I will be speaking in the next episode. I want to say thank you to those who listened to this episode of the Bury Weird podcast. That is all I have to say. I hope that you enjoyed this discussion.